Frogman is one of the great mysterious cryptids. He's right below Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, and then Chupacabra, werewolves, the Jersey Devil, Mothman. Okay, so Frogman might not be the coolest or well-known of the cryptids, but man, I love Frogman. There's really only a few reports that come to mind, and they all happened in Loveland, Ohio. The first in 1955, when someone was driving along the road at night and saw 3 figures walking on their back legs, 3 to 4 foot tall with frog faces. One holding a magic wand that fired showers of sparks. I think someone took a little too much acid and went on a midnight drive. But then later on in 1972, a police officer saw the Frogman cross the road, 3 to 4 foot tall, leathery skin, and looked like a frog. But my favorite sighting happened in 2016 when a couple were out playing Pokemon Go and they snapped this photo. Instead of catching a Froakie, they managed to capture the legendary Frogman. I give you this brief history of Frogman because that's tonight's movie, 2023's Frogman. It opens up with a family on vacation. Why they chose to go to Loveland, Ohio for their holiday is beyond me, but here we are. There's Mom and Dad, Dallas, and Lizzie. After walking around and seeing the sights, they load back up in the car and head out, only to get lost. While Mom and Dad fight, Dallas and Lizzie get out with the camera, and that's when they spot it. Just at the edge of the tree line, the Frogman. Now we jump to some YouTuber explaining what the Frogman is, even showing Dallas's footage. However, he's not buying it. You see, Dallas has grown up making home movies, so it looks like his footage was all just a big hoax. But we know that's not the case. And a 32-year-old Dallas is hell-bent on proving he was right all along. He digs out his old camera, the same one he used so many years ago, and reaches out to his friend Scotty for some help and be his cameraman. Dallas is really hurt by what this YouTuber said about him. I got news for you, Dallas. It's the internet. You gotta have thick skin. But he doesn't, so he starts planning a trip back to Loveland. Before they go, however, Dallas and Scotty have to stop at their friend Amy's going-away party. She's an inspiring actress who's decided to try her luck and move out to LA to star in movies. Which just so happens to be what Dallas is making, a movie. Sure, to him it's a documentary, but that doesn't mean Amy can't have her own spin on it and have some fun.
Hello, y'all. My name is Norma Jean Lynette.
Later that night, while driving, Dallas and Amy get to talking, and we learn that they do have some history. Sure, they're best friends, but they recently slept with each other. Dallas still having feelings for Amy, but Amy thinks it was all a big mistake. Blah, blah, blah. Where's Frogman? Finally, they make it to Loveland, 20 minutes in. They go downtown, talk to the locals, get some ice cream, and pose for pictures at a Frogman cutout. It all leads them to the Bullfrog B&B, where the owner, Gretel, gives them some tips on where they could find the local legend.
Folks know where Frogman Point is?
In the morning, they talk to more locals, all of whom seem to believe in the Frogman, some more than others.
Frogman can read minds!
Thank you very much.
We learn that there's even a cult following for the creature that practices in the caves under the town. As they continue to explore, they stop at the Sticky Tongue gift shop for some Frogman memorabilia. They even have a Frogman flute that's supposed to attract the creature.
Blow it a couple times, he comes out.
After the gift shop, they finally head out into the woods to Frogman Point. Soon it gets dark, and they might not be alone out here. When they finally make it to the point, they look off into the distance, and there he is! I think. This is where it would have been nice to have an HD camera and not the one you used from the 90s.
I got you now.
Instead of running away scared, Dallas takes off towards it. And wouldn't you know, it's a phony. A guy dressed in a suit. Some dude the town hired to keep the legend alive so tourists would come and spend money. It seems like the Frogman is all Loveland has. Obviously, Dallas is ticked, and he goes back to the B&B to yell at Gretel, knowing that she's behind it.
Cut the shit, lady.
Things are getting serious now, and she warns them to leave town while they still can. A pretty obvious threat. But that's not going to stop Dallas, who's even more determined to prove Frogman is real, and his original footage wasn't faked. So he heads to George Hill's house. He's a local who had the very first Frogman encounter. At this point, Scotty and Amy have had enough, but Dallas keeps convincing him just one more thing and then they'll leave. Right now, that one more thing is talk to George and get an interview with him. He tells his story, how he and a buddy were out mushroom hunting and they felt like they were being watched. They started heading back to the truck, and when he flipped on the headlights, there it was, right in front of him. Dallas inquires more about where to find this thing, and at first, George doesn't want to help. But then he says after tonight, it won't matter anyway, and he gives him a map.
This will lead you to it.
After tonight, it won't matter? What's that mean?
It leads to nothing.
Well, who cares? They have a map. They walk around a bit in the woods, they find a frog, but not the man, so no Frogman. They do stumble upon some green ooze, which Scotty falls into. Is this slime a byproduct of the cryptid? A little later, they set up camp, fail to start a fire, and tension grows between friends.
She mad at me?
Dallas wanders away to use that whistle we saw at the gift shop, and honestly, it seems to work. At least with normal frogs.
Whoa.
They head back to the tent to discover Amy's missing.
Amy!
They find her just standing in the woods, looking possessed. When she snaps to, she's unaware of what's going on and has missing time.
You okay?
Soon the camera starts to glitch out, a sure sign that the Frogman is near and using his telepathic powers. They run around a bit, things are starting to get crazy. We do see them, and yes, there is definitely at least a couple frogmen hanging out in the trees. And honestly, they look cool. There's a neat shot where one of them licks Scotty's cell phone, and you see it get gulped up and then go down his throat. Kinda makes you wonder how they managed to get that footage for the movie. Did Frogman poop it out? In the end, everyone makes it back to the car safe and sound. Dallas excited with all the footage he just got. Back at the B&B, Scott takes a look at himself in the mirror, and I'd say he's starting to transform. Must be because he touched that green slime in the forest. Everyone's ready to go and head home. They have all the footage they need, but just then, Dallas hears something. It sounds like chanting coming from underground. They head on down, and sure enough, there's the Frogman worshippers. But what are they doing? It seems like they have this girl under the same spell Amy was under. Worse yet, it looks like this is some sort of Frogman arranged marriage. The camera starts flickering from what I assume is the telepathic interference. But then, the wedding gets interrupted by a shotgun blast. I guess this really is a shotgun wedding. Well, it turns out to be George Hill putting a stop to all of this. Our three friends get chased off, where we see some of the worshippers are slowly turning into frogmen too, just like Scotty. They all wander around for a while until they find what looks like frogman eggs. But after closer inspection, they're more like pods that contain impregnated humans. This girl in particular is George Hill's granddaughter, hence why he's down here, to save her. As if things couldn't get any worse, she gives birth to a baby frogman. This is nuts. They once again run around for a while, then sit down to take a break. And this is when Dallas decides it's a good time to confess his love for Amy. I know he doesn't think that they're gonna get out of here alive, but now? Seriously? Frogman is right there and about to use his magic wand. Remember in the beginning, I did say that in 1955 they reported he used a wand. I guess they took that to heart when writing the script for this movie. The camera glitches up some more, I'm not really sure what's going on, but when we end up back in the cave, Amy's pulled away with the Frogman's tongue. Luckily, Dallas picked up his wand, and he knows how to use it. They make their escape, with George finding them and showing the two lovebirds outside. He runs back into the cave to save his granddaughter, and Amy and Dallas make it back to civilization.
There's the town.
In the end, it says the authorities refused to believe his footage was real. So Dallas is right back where he started with no one believing him. They go on to say that Scotty's missing, no doubt turned into another Frogman. Amy moved to LA and Dallas stayed behind. They haven't talked to each other in over a year. And George and his granddaughter were never seen again. But then there's this neat little transition, and we see we're in a theater showing the movie. Seems like everyone enjoyed it, and it's time to meet the director, Dallas. So was this all a work of fiction, or was he really trying to film a documentary? Well, after the credits, we get our answer. Dallas is holding the Frogman's wand, and it works. Loveland's only about 3 hours away from where I live. Could the Frogman be hopping around in my backyard? Probably not. Honestly, I believe in a lot of things, but Frogman isn't one of them, unfortunately. And I'm not alone in that. Most people think that the original Frogman sighting was really just a large tailless iguana, so I'm gonna have to go with that. But that doesn't change the fact that Frogman is still cool and a great local legend. The Frogman movie? Well, I could take it or leave it. It definitely has its ups and downs. It's like they tried to hit all the found footage tropes. There's always a party everyone goes to before heading out on some big grand adventure. It's usually two guys and a girl, with one guy being obsessed with finding the truth. I will give them credit for showing the Frogman early on in the film. And then at the end, we see it all the time. And it looks great. Practical effects all the way. You do have to remember we're talking about a frog, which isn't the scariest of all of God's creations. However, they did a pretty good job with the look of it here. I also give them credit for writing an interesting story. It's not just three people go out into the woods and hunt for a creature like so many other found footage movies. My biggest complaint, though, is the pacing. The love story they tried to throw in there for no reason didn't really work, and the 90s camera, I get that he's using the same camcorder he captured the creature on so many years ago. It's symbolic, but still, HD outweighs nostalgia. I really want to give this one a solid 2 out of 4, but all these things kind of bring it down a tick. So I gotta go with 1.5 Frogman magic wands out of 4.
Turn that thing off.
It's off.
No, it's not.